upload. So I'm gonna try it again. All right, so I rewrote everything. Your math was a little off in just that the graph that you put had 2 million and then 200,000. They're just asking for 200,000 and 20,000. Okay, so make sure you look at that. All right, so what they're basically saying is that you're on your liabilities side, your demand deposits are 200,000. The reserve ratio is 0.1, and so 20,000 would be your reserved requirement. There's nothing in excess reserves. All right, so that means if they do withdraw any money, they have to withdraw it from the required reserves, which is a bad thing in the long run because they're going to need to make sure that they have the correct percentage. So they want to know how much additional money they're going to have to raise or get in order to cover that withdrawal. All right, so somebody comes in and withdraws $10,000, so that would be minus 10,000. So the numbers will change now. Okay, so your 200,000 now goes down to 190,000. All right, and the reserve ratio is 0.1. So the easy way to remember like how your reserve ratio is going to change, just think, all right, 10,000. What's 10% of 10,000? It's going to be $1,000. So this will be $1,000 less. But it's pretty easy to kind of match up the numbers. So 190,000, 10% of that is just 19,000. Okay. So that means that they have $1,000 that they can sort of give away. All right. So the reserve requirement now is 19,000. Okay. If right now they did have 20,000, which means in their excess reserves they got $1,000. All right. That $1,000 can get loaned out. So what's the rest of the money that they need to get in order to loan out? So they have $1,000 now that they can give with that withdrawal. How much more money additionally from this do they have to give out? And that number is 9,000, right? They have to give $10,000. They have to give that person $10,000. They have essentially $1,000 to give. Now they're going to have to borrow $9,000 in order to cover that $10,000. All right. Same principle applies for the second one for 13. Just different numbers. So 400,000. Okay. They need to keep 80,000. The reserve requirement is 0.2. All right. So 400,000. 80,000 is how much they have in required reserves, and they have no excess reserves. So that means loans are about 320,000. Someone withdraws $10,000. Okay, that's going to change the number now to 390. All right. Now you're trying to wonder, okay, what's a quick way to learn the reserve ratio? Well, the reserve ratio is 0.2, and so the reserve ratio for the withdrawal is just going to be 0.2 of the withdrawal. So 10,000 is withdrawn, 0.2 of 10,000 is 2,000. So it's just going to be $2,000 less. So it'll be $78,000, right? All right. Oh, and if you wanted to get a calculator out and do 20% of 390,000, you'll find that it's 78,000. Okay. So now we're trying to figure out, all right, how much more money do they have to find? Well, again, we were at 80,000. Now we're at 78,000. So now we have in our excess reserves, so required reserves, our excess reserves, we now have 2,000 that we can loan out. Okay. How much more money do we need to raise in order to cover that withdrawal? Okay. And that would be 8,000.